Hey y'all, this is your girl Rania with Rise with Rania, where we live, love, and thrive. Okay, so I am going to be telling a story that we might have heard. It is story time with the Rise with Rania. We're going to rise to the occasion and we're going to learn from God's true word that is living, that is alive, and we can learn from this. But the stories of the Bible, they're like no other. Like, I know we go and we pick up books and we buy books, but the book, like the true book of the living word of God, man, the stories are so rich. So I would encourage you guys to grab the book. I'm not going to go through every single details, but I just kind of want to give you a timeline of events in terms of the story that we'll be talking about today. So today we're going to spend time learning about who is Meshach, and Abednego. Oh, what is her name? No, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Who are they and where did they come from? I know we hear about the fiery furnace and we hear about like them being thrown in there and they didn't, burn up or anything. And how did that happen? But what got them there? Like, why are they here? Okay, so here's a little story. Let's go down memory lane and let's go into the living word of God. And this story is quite amazing. There's so many pivotal moments in the story that just really brings me into tears at times. It's like an emotional roller coaster, and it really just shows a lot of things. And I just want to ask you at the end of this, what's your revelation? Like, what do you think you've gotten from this, or maybe Holy Spirit has told you about this story that could be a game changer in how you even manage your life? Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of all of this and where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came from. And if I'm not saying it right, y'all, it's okay. It is okay, okay? But y'all know what I'm talking about. So, all right, here we go. So Nebuchadnezzar is a king, right? He's in Babylon. And he came and he wanted to besiege the tribe of Judah. And that's where another king was. And so he had the opportunity to do that. And so he basically took over the tribe of Judah and he took them down. And so when he took them down, there was a moment where he also took a lot of their jewels, their sacred objects, that he took a few of those items and he went back and took it back to where his sacred place of the holy gods that he believes in Babylon. And so when he did that, he also told his chief of office, I want you to go and I want you to take captive of some of the folks that live in Judah. I want you to take captive and I want you to bring them back over to Babylon, and I want to use them so that they can be of service to the palace. And we are going to need like the healthiest, the strongest, the most handsome looking, the mentally prepared, the great thinkers. He wanted the cream of the crop. He wanted the best men that can come over and be of service to the palace in Babylon. And so that's what happened. He had them go out and he grabbed all of these folks, all of these men, and he brought them over to Babylon. And some of these men were considered to be very wise men. So they get over to Babylon, and one of the men that was brought here was Daniel. And so Daniel was brought, and then there was 3 other men that were brought. One of them was called Hananiah, the other one was called Mishael, and the third one was called Azariah. I always get them figured, these are all names that we don't know, but we try, you guys. So Azariah. So there were 4 men. There were a bunch of other people, but these 4 men were like the cream of the crop. They were like the best, the strongest looking, the best looking, mentally able, had considered to be more wiser than others. And so these men were these 4 men. Now, so when they came over to Babylon, there was a time where they said, well, they have to change their names. And so instead of Daniel being Daniel, he was Belteshazzar. Here's another name for you. And then Hananiah was called Shadrach. And Mishael was called Meshach. And Azariah was called Abednego. So that's where they came from, you guys. You get it? So Daniel was Belteshazzar. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were Daniel's friends. And that's how this started. They were Daniel's friends. They were a part of the Judah tribe. They were captured and took captive, brought over to Babylon, and then they were told that they were going to utilize them and be of service to the palace and to the king of Babylon. And so during that time, their names were changed. They had a 3-year training where they had to go through the rigor of what that looked like in terms of being strong and healthy and mentally capable, and learning the language of Babylonians and learning the culture of Babylon, and going through the whole process. But before all of this happened, one of the things that happened, this is some boldness right here, okay? So before this happened, King Nebuchadnezzar said, we're going to give each and every one of these men food from my table, because we want to make sure that they're strong. After this 3-year training, and that they're going to be going through and preparing mentally and physically, I want to make sure that they are so strong that they can be able to take care of this palace and do the things that they have been called to do according to what I want them to do, right? Well, boldness came alive here. Daniel was real about what he believed. The God of Israel was not going to allow him to eat the way that the king wanted him to eat. So he went over to the chief of officials and he said, please, or the guard that was guarding, or the attendant that was over him, he said, please give me a chance. My body, I don't want to defile my body like this. I don't want to eat that way. I want to eat fruits, and I want to eat vegetables, and I want to eat healthy, and I want to drink water. Can you just allow me and my friends here, my 4 friends, we just want to drink water and eat vegetables and fruit. Can you allow us to do that? Well, I don't, and the guard was scared, because he was like, if I let you do that, something may happen to me. I might die. I might die. But it was God who was present in this request. And he said, okay, I'm going to let you do it. Daniel pleaded, and he said, can we just get 10 days? And I want you to compare us and our strength and our minds and the way that we do things to these other men who are not going down this path and eating the way that we're eating. And we also know that they were praying. They were praying soldiers, okay? So he let them do it. That boldness came up out of them. They ate them vegetables and fruits and drank that water, and that guard allowed them to do it. And after 10 days, you probably already know what I'm going to say. They were stronger. They were mentally stronger. They were able to even deal with the rigor of what they were going through their training. And they even said, and even in the word, it says that they were 10 times better than the other people who were eating from the king's table. And they were eating the vegetables and the fruits and the healthy things and drinking the water. And so how awesome is that he was bold enough to stand firm on what he believed. And he was also bold enough to say, you know what? Just do a comparison. Compare it. And he had faith that God would cover them and they will come out on the other side even better. So, and that's exactly what they did. So when you think of Daniel fast, that's what you're thinking about. You're thinking about that time when Daniel did what he did, and the deliverance that he had saw, and also how much more healthy and stronger that he was, along with his dear friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So that is the story of how Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came to Babylon. Now, I am going to finish this story up with a couple other things, because I do want to get to that fiery furnace, and I want you to know, how did they even get there? What was that all about? Well, let me give you the tea. My husband's been asking for the tea all week, and he's been like, what's happening next? What's going on? And we've been talking about it, and it's been so awesome. I tell you guys, seriously, jump into his word, because it's amazing to just get all of the revelation and just to reveal the things that maybe we've learned through Sunday school, or we learn from other stories and just bits and pieces of the story. But to know the whole story, it's like a light bulb just goes off, and you're just like, wow, like this is amazing. Okay. Slow it down, Rania. I know, I just get so overjoyed, excited, and it's just awesome. All right, so here's what happens next. So They are stronger. Nebuchadnezzar, the chief of officials, they come down. 3 years later, they bring Nebuchadnezzar down, and they say, Nebuchadnezzar, go ahead and view all the men, and I want you to sort of, decide on how that's going to work out. They did the whole rigor. They did, like, I would like to say, a training camp. They had a one-day camp, a boot camp, and they were like, let me see what you're working with. And so Nebuchadnezzar wanted to see what they was all working with, and at the end of all of that, he chose 4 people. You got to guess, right? Who's the 4 people he chose? He chose Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And that's Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Call them by their names there. So he chose them. They were the strongest. They were the mentally strongest. They were able to adapt to what was needed to support what he believed was needed in the palace. And that's what happened. So that's what he did. And so he chose them, and he had them come and work for them. Now they did their thing. So let's fast forward a little bit. You can go ahead and read through those chapters. Okay, so we're in chapter 1, 2, and 3. That's what we're going to be covering. So fast forward later, King Nebuchadnezzar, he has a dream. And the dream was like disturbing him. He could not sleep. He was waking up in the middle of the night. He was just so disturbed and distraught. And he's like, oh my God, I need to know these dreams. And so he went to some enchanters. He went to some magicians. He went to some astrologers. And he was like, hey, I need you to tell me what my dream is. And they were like, well, if you tell me your dream, I'll tell you what your dream means. And he was like, no. If you know what this dream is about, you can tell me what the dream is. And you're not going to try to fake me. And if you don't tell me what the dream is, and if you don't tell me what the dream is about, I am going to kill you. I'm going to take you down. And they were like, well, no, nobody can ever tell the king what no other king has ever requested this before. I can tell you what your dream is, but I can't, or what your dream means, but I can't tell you what your dream is. And he was like, well, you know what? If you don't tell me what it's going to mean, we're going to have to go out into Babylon, and we're going to kill all the wise people out there, because nobody can tell me what my dream is, and you guys are no help. So he sent his servants to go tell, all the folks, all the wise people, they were going to die, and that, nobody could tell him what his dream was. So Daniel again pleaded, give me a chance. Give me a chance to see if I can find. Give me some time. I'm pleading. Give me some time so I can see if I can find some wise people or connect with people, and it will be revealed to me about what this dream is. And so he goes on and he meets up with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He talks with them. He asks them, and then he goes to sleep. And then the dream was revealed, or the dream was revealed in his dream. And it was revealed to him, and he was able to come back and tell the folks and come back to Nebuchadnezzar and say, hey, I know what your dream is, and I also know what your dream means. And so he went on to tell him about all the devastation that was happening within his dream, and how other kings were going to reign, and some kings that were inferior that were going to reign after he reigned. And he went through the whole phase of what that's going to look like, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the good. And so he went through that, and Nebuchadnezzar says, wow, you serve the God of Israel. I want to know more about this God of Israel. I want to know about the God that you serve. And you were able to reveal. And I asked all these other people, the magician, the astrologer, I asked the enchanters, all of these people about this dream, and none of them could tell me, and you could. You know what? I'm going to need you to be, I have a note here. I'm going to need you to be, I need you to be the ruler of the entire province of Babylon. I need you to be the ruler. And he said, so as you are going to be the ruler, and you're going to stay by my side, because I'm going to need your help to be able to, understand, like, if these things kind of happen, because you're pretty wise. I mean, you're pretty legit, and you serve some God that I don't really know nothing about, but something about you, I just can't not attach to you. Are you listening to this, y'all? He could not attach to him. He knew he had to take him with him, because he knew there was something on his life that he had to connect with. Okay, all right, I think y'all got it. So by Daniel's request, he said, okay, can we have my friends, remember the friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, can we have them handle all of the affairs of Babylon? And remember, these friends also knew of the God of Israel. And they were also praying to the God of Israel. And so he said, can you just have them handle all the affairs of Babylon? And then I'll go over there and be the ruler of the entire province of Babylon. And he said, okay, because you requested, I'm going to let you go ahead and do that. Like, that's cool. That's cool. I'm going to go ahead and let you do that. So that's what happened. So we're going to fast forward a little bit and we're going to close this down. After he pleaded and he did that, all of that came to pass. Nebuchadnezzar decided, okay, under my reign, I want to have a golden 9-foot statue in the middle of Babylon. And I want everyone in Babylon to pray to this statue. And I want everybody to be involved in praying to the statue and doing, all of these things. And guess who did not pray to that statue? Those 3 men that were over all the affairs of Babylon and its people. And so what happened was there was some snitch. What did they say? Like snitches get stitches or something like, I know you guys, but like seriously, there were some snitches. And they went over to King Nebuchadnezzar and said, these guys over here, they are not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not praying to the golden statue. And you need to figure out something because they're praying to some other god. And we need them to stop doing that. And so you need to like get rid of them. And you like to kill them because they are not in the right state of mind because they're not doing what you told them to do. Okay, snitches. So snitches tell on them. Nebuchadnezzar sends for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And now they are captured. They are bound down. They are tied down. They cannot even move. They still have all of their clothes on. And he says, we're going to throw them into the fiery furnace if you do not pray to the golden statue. And they were like, I will never. If you're going to throw me into that fiery furnace, our God will save us. And if he doesn't save us, I still will not pray to that golden statue. And so that's what happened. And so they took them. 6 men came, got them, tied them down. They could not move. They had no control over their bodies. And they went on to take them to the fiery furnace. And Nebuchadnezzar was so angry that they would be going through this. And they were like, why would you do this? Especially when you think about what he had taken them through. And they were the strongest men of the whole, when all the men that had become captive, they were considered like a third, actually 3/4 of the strongest men that he chose. But he had to do this to prove a point. So he was so angry that he turned the actual furnace up 6 times hotter than he's ever turned this furnace up. And when he turned it up, it was so hot when those 6 men got ready to throw Meshach, and Abednego into the fiery furnace, the 6 people died. They died. And so they went into the fiery furnace. They did not die. They went in and they went down. They didn't have no movement. And then and King Nebuchadnezzar, he's like, why is there people walking around? Didn't you guys tie them up? What's going on right here? He looks inside of the fiery furnace and there's not only 3 people, but there's a 4th person that looks like a god. That's inside the fiery furnace that just killed 6 men before they can even put anybody in it because it was so hot. And there was 4 people now walking inside of the fiery furnace. And lo and behold, the God of Israel was there. He was present. And Nebuchadnezzar got a chance to see it all. So there we are, folks. They came out of this alive. And Nebuchadnezzar got one more witnessing of how awesome our God is that we serve. And when he is on fire, which is all the time, he will make it happen. And it's his desire that he wants us to be free and free of shackles. And he also wants us to be able to walk this life and be able to share with other people. There is so many revelations that you can get from the story that come from the start to the end. I mean, the fact of how they got to where they got to and the witnessing that they had done amongst all of the people that they had their full affairs over in Babylon, along with having to be able to witness to King Nebuchadnezzar. And so there's more to this story. I am so excited to share more to this story a little bit later. We're going to do something every single week. And I thought I would get this one done in 2 or 3 minutes. Y'all see what time it is right now. And I hope this was just a tip of what you want to do to go grab your own book and read all the fine print and all the things that happen. That is so awesome to hear and see, and how people operated. And then it makes you think, like, would I ever do that? Like, as a Christian, would I ever be able to just say, you know what, I'm gonna lay my life down, and I don't care what the people say, but I'm going to surrender it all to you, Lord. I trust you. I got faith in you, and you are going to cover it all. And if you don't, I and you still win. So God, I just love this story. It's just so awesome. I'm going to finish more of the story over the next couple weeks, you guys, because there's a lot more to learn about how they navigated in this season. And as much as we learn about the fiery furnace and how that was handled, the story before really tells the story of redemption. It tells the story of hope. It tells the story of faith. It tells the story of boldness. It tells the story of what you do when your back is up against the wall. It tells the story of when you're dealing with adversity. How do you handle it? So what's the revelation you got from this story, y'all? What are you getting from the story and the story that I'm sharing? This is the living word of God, and this story is real. All right, y'all. Story time is over. I hope you got something out of this. I love you all. I am so thankful for you guys, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you guys weekly. Some stories will be shorter than others, but this one had to be told. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful day. I love you. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.